So, why is the castle hyperspheric? Why does it revolve around itself and change its structure? Why does it continue to hold itself from within and without? If we take the castle as an image to look at our place in the world, we can see this in several ways. Firstly, we can look physically at the development of a human being from way back in evolution, beginning with atoms, molecules, organisms. There's probably some levels in between there that I've forgotten. Moving up to as we evolve through sort of different permutations, as reptiles, as mammals, as primates, and we can see like a complexity which is sort of adding a complex layer around a complex layer around a complex layer, and increasing in complexification as we move outwards. So we go through the reptilian brain to the limbic brain to the neocortex. So I know this is simplification of how the brain works, but it's a fairly good understanding and does give you an idea of what's going on in different levels of the brain to sort of this hyper-conscious highest level of complexity state, which restructures the lower states. And so we can see in this way complexity surrounding levels which support it. But at the same time, we can see that we take place in a biosphere, which is in this world, which is in our solar system, which is in our galaxy, in our universe, in a multiverse perhaps. And in this instance, we can see that complexity in terms of interactions of and that is in terms of at least the intelligences that we know about is being enclosed by these other levels. So we've moved between two different ways of looking at physical complex consciousness, and how it's at once enclosing other levels which support it, and is being enclosed by levels which then gradually become sort of like another. Although the universe itself is not it sort of moves towards a field which is closer to an atomic field, moving towards in both directions. You get towards this. It's really hard to talk about, but you're moving away from like a complex interaction towards a powerful underlying field that and so you can see those both ways unfolding each other. Of course, there's many other ways that this hyper-spheric castle can be applied. So another way would be time, perhaps, and how the present moment is enfolded by previous time at the same time as enfolding previous time. So we can see our place here being created from all previous time. So where we are now is a product of evolution. It's a product of all the history we've gone through, and at the same time we restructure time through our memory of it and through a retroactive rereading of previous events, previous literature and previous thought that has happened. So we are at once restructuring that time and being structured by it. I think this, like, one area of interest for me that this takes part in is can be seen in Goethean science, and the way Goethe uses this morphological thinking to take one idea and then shift it around to hold itself in another way, and then his theories have heavily been taken up by Rudolf Steiner, who then develops these other crazy thought pictures. So we can begin by, like, Goethe's, like, investigation. He looked at a lot of different things, the plants and insects, but I'm going to look here at bone structure, and he was looking at the spinal column and looking at the, what are they called? The little discs, I suppose they're just discs. But looking at how they, as they reach the skull, they actually can, like this, the jaw itself can be seen as a morphed bone, a disc bone, and then the skull can also be seen as like this sort of expanded, encompassing bone. So he sees them sort of like morphing into holding themselves, and Rudolf Steiner takes this picture further and sort of sees there's that skull which has like this sphere that contains the head, and then that moves into this central area in this spine, and then if he tries to push it further, and I love this sort of imaginative leap of thinking about the limb bones themselves being a spinal disc turned inside out, so it's like a complete reflection of the head almost, so that it's if you see the head as a sphere that has a center, and then as you move to the chest, you see this sphere begin to open up in the chest cavity, and your sort of chest area becomes like a sphere which expands out in front of you, and your feeling sphere goes like this sort of, and then by the time you get to the limbs, the center becomes completely turned inside out, and the point at the center of the limb is the whole universe. This is I like a crazy picture. I love it, and we can see if then you think about the way this idea of the music of the spheres and these astral forces which are moving around. I know I'm introducing a whole lot of concepts, but we can go into what the idea of the astral, what that could be in maybe later video. But so we imagine when we're dancing, we're sort of reacting to these celestial movements and moving with our body in this sort of rhythm that we kind of find repeated in these other levels of reality. And then as that movement travels inwards, like when we're feeling a nice rhythm or a nice music, we feel like a reaction in our chest. We feel an enjoyment. We feel our heart, energy, like moving into that rhythm, and we express joy. We sing from our chest with air, or we growl. We don't like what the movements we're feeling, and then that becomes in the head an inward force that is still sort of contemplation. It's a witness of that movement, which could be a musical contemplation inside your head. Well, that was probably a whole lot of. Let's finish there. That was a lot of strange, probably concepts. I hope to explore these other ideas further in future videos. Thanks.